Welcome back to Arthritis Now. This week, we've decided to do something a little different and dip into our archives to introduce you to Dr. Crow. Dr. Crow is a past president of the American College of Rheumatology and is the current physician-in-chief and chair of the Department of Medicine for the Hospital for Special Surgery in New York. We'd like to thank Dr. Crow for serving on our scientific advisory board for the past 6 years and look forward to many more years with her to come. Watch as I take you back for a few questions with this esteemed researcher. If you could start off by introducing yourself, telling us your position and where you're from.
I'm Peggy Crow. I'm a professor of medicine and physician-in-chief and chief of rheumatology at Hospital for Special Surgery in New York. Special surgery is a hospital that includes both orthopedic surgery and rheumatology, so it's really the focus of the autoimmune disease research in New York.
What does your research focus on?
I've been studying lupus for decades, I think, probably for 30 years, even before I went to medical school. And over the years, I've focused on different aspects, always trying to understand really what the disease is all about, what the pathogenic mechanisms are. So over the years, I've studied the T cells, the B cells, and over the last 6 or 7 years, what we've been very interested in is understanding the role of a cytokine, a protein called interferon alpha. This is a protein that's generally produced when an individual is infected with the virus, but what we found, and actually this has been observed for many years, is that lupus patients make a large amount of interferon alpha. And the question we've been trying to address is, why is that? And we've been particularly interested in the genetic factors that predispose to producing a lot of this interferon alpha, and then how it all plays out at the level of the immune system.
How did you first hear about the Arthritis National Research Foundation?
Dr. Hahn, as you may know, is the chief of rheumatology at UCLA, and she contacted me, told me about the organization, and asked me if I'd be interested in being on the scientific advisory board. And I really did not know too much about the Arthritis National Research Foundation, but she told me quite a bit about it and introduced me to Carl Ware, who was the chair of the scientific advisory board. And I said, sure, I'd love to be involved. And I've had interactions with a number of the lupus foundations over the years, as well as the Arthritis Foundation, the National Arthritis Foundation. And I think what's very special about the Arthritis National Research Foundation is that there's really a personal feel for those who were selected to receive the grants. So, I was happy to help out when Bevra contacted me, and it's really been a pleasure.
Why do you feel that ANRF's mission to fund young researchers is so important?
When a fellow finishes their training, they really have not had the time to really demonstrate whether they're going to be successful or not in research. And so the Arthritis National Research Foundation grants really provide support right at that window when they're trying, when the physician scientist or the budding physician scientist is gaining experience, really testing themselves to see if they're going to make it or not. I think the postdoctoral fellows who may not be MDs but are working very hard in the labs also are really benefiting from these grants. And it's a transition time between your training and established faculty position. And it's a very vulnerable period, and it's really important that support is provided during that period.
What is the Arthritis National Research Foundation's reputation in the scientific community?
I think the ANRF is a very personal and local organization in its origin, but as time is going on, it's well recognized around the country as supporting investigators right at that very vulnerable point as they're trying to develop their careers.
Why should people support the Arthritis National Research Foundation with their private donations?
You know, our gold standard research funding comes from the NIH, from the government, from our tax dollars, but it's so difficult to get that funding. And particularly in the case of young investigators, they don't have the experience, they don't have the preliminary data that's required to get that gold standard NIH funding. So we're all really reliant on the support of foundations, and foundations don't succeed, don't even exist without committed and very dedicated donors.
You have served on scientific advisory boards before. When you came on to join the ANRF Scientific Advisory Board, what was your experience?
In some ways, my experience with the Arthritis National Research Foundation was very reminiscent of experiences I've had before. We read the applications, we try to apply our own experience to what we're reading and think about what the impact might be. But at the same time, it was very apparent that some of the other members on the committee had been involved in the organization for a very, very long time. And this is perhaps unique. This group is, I think it's a very personal approach, they're very close, and I could actually kind of feel that as we sat in the committee meeting.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you'd like to find out more about Dr. Crow and our Scientific Advisory Board, visit curearthritis.org. Stay tuned next time as we bring you another interview with one of our esteemed researchers.